Have you ever felt like your dreams are just out of reach? It's like you have a vision of success, but you don't quite have the belief that you're going to be able to achieve what you want. So it might be that you're saying to yourself, I'm afraid of making a mistake. I really don't know what I'm doing. Maybe you're concerned about what people are going to say to you. Or you might think, I'm too old for this. I don't know how to learn the skills for this. These thoughts are all symptoms of having a fixed mindset. So many people have this. So if any of this sounds familiar to you, you're not alone. In this video, I'm going to share with you the things that I've learned in the more than 8 years that I've been a rapid transformational therapist and coach that has helped so many more people lead fulfilled lives. I'm going to teach you what a growth mindset is and how you can achieve it so you can unlock your true potential. I'm Cindy Galvin. I'm the author of the best-selling book, More to Give, Stepping into Your New Life at Any Age. I'm a rapid transformational therapist and coach. I'm also the founder of the Art of Potentiality and the Potentiality Network, where clients that work with me learn techniques and tools to help them get past the blocks in their life. In all the years that I've been doing this, I've picked up exercises and techniques that I know work, that work well fairly quickly, and most importantly, have life-lasting results. For example, I often get many clients that come in feeling like they're stuck in life. I had one recently where it was a woman who'd been working for a while in a particular industry and who wanted to set up on her own. But in the back of her mind, she was thinking, I don't think I have what it takes. I think people will make fun of me and they'll think, why am I wanting to do this at this time? So we worked on her mindset. She did various exercises, we built her confidence together, and now she's able to do exactly what she wanted to do by opening up her own business. So let's go through and discover the difference between the limited mindset and the growth mindset. Some of the characteristics of a limited mindset is that people feel that they are born with just a set number of skills. They also don't like to try new things because they have such a high degree of fear over failing. On the other side is growth mindset, and some of these characteristics are, these are the people that love to continue learning. They don't see challenges as something to be afraid of because they know that they're learning something every time they face one. They also believe that there's no such thing as failure, that you get feedback from things that you're doing. These are the people that are always striving and growing, who think, if I put enough time into something, I can learn how to do that. And this reminds me of one of my favorite quotes. And this was given by a fellow named Darwin Smith. Now, he was being interviewed one time by someone who was asking him, what do you attribute to your success? And what he said was, I never stopped trying to be qualified for the job. Now, that quote epitomizes what a growth mindset is. He didn't rest on his laurels. He was always trying to learn something new. As you can see, it's quite simple. If I think this way, it's going to help me. But if I think this way, it's not. But let's go into an exercise now where you'll see more about what I mean. I'd like you to think about a problem or issue that you have. And now that you have an idea of the difference between the limited and growth mindset, I'd like you to start by listing all of the fixed mindset thoughts that you have about this. So it could be things like, I don't know how to do that. I don't know that I'd ever be able to learn how to get past that. It's not me. Now I want you to list all of the positive or growth mindset thoughts that you could have, which could be things like, I can't wait to see what I could do with this. I wonder what challenges I'll face and what I'll learn from this. So you can start to see the difference between the two. So I want you to pay attention to the thoughts that you have for anything that comes up in your life and be aware of the patterns that arise. Are you afraid of things? Are you exhibiting those limited mindset thoughts? Or are you really embracing what you can learn from any mistakes that you might make along the way, and you're really embracing the knowledge that you'll gain by going for what you want? Recognizing your thought patterns about things is the first step toward reframing those. This isn't just about positive thinking. This is about fundamentally changing how you interact with the world. You might have heard the word neuroplasticity. What neuroplasticity means is the brain is able to rewire. It's able to make new neural connections. Now, why is this important? Because when we talk about doing things like looking for the patterns of the negative thinking that you have and reframing them, by continuing to do that, by being consistent in that work, you are helping your brain rewire. There's no limit to how often the brain can rewire, and it's not limited by age. It comes about by repeating something over and over again so that the brain learns to achieve that. We did this all the time when we were younger and we were in school. When we were in class, we didn't know the things that we had to learn because we weren't born with that knowledge. We had to keep studying. An example I often like to use is times tables. We had to keep learning, so eventually one day we knew that 5 times 5 was 25. This is exactly what neuroplasticity is. You're training your brain to have different thoughts. Even if you have a negative thought that you've had for a long time, you can train your brain to overcome that by counteracting it every time it comes up for you. Next, I'm going to show you a 3-step process that I developed for use with my own clients that you can use to start empowering and growing your growth mindset. Step 1 is to become aware of the negative thoughts that you're saying to yourself. Now, typically what I ask clients to do is to write these down, because these aren't the kind of things that you might necessarily be aware of. Do this over the course of about 3 days. I'm not talking about writing 15 or 20 of these down. Keep it short, because then you'll be able to do this more easily and you'll stick with the process. Let's say you look for 3 to 5 of the negative thoughts that are coming up. So that's step 1. Step 2, every time that that thought comes up, think about how you would reframe it. It might be that you have a thought that says, I can't do it. The reframe could be, I can't do it yet. I'll never be able to learn that. Could turn into, I'm curious to see how much I could learn. And now the final step of this, for every one of those negative thoughts, write down that reframe. Every time you catch yourself with a negative thought and you reframe it, you're actually training your brain to rewire, and this is what neuroplasticity is all about. You can use this to improve any area of your life so that you'll feel a sense of freedom. You won't have these thoughts holding you back the way they were once before. They can really embolden your life so that you can have the true potential that's yours. Another tool that you can use is when you notice that you have a negative thought come up, ask yourself, well, where does this come from? Is it true? The thing is, we weren't born with anything other than the fear of falling and the fear of loud noises. Everything else we've learned. And here again is where neuroplasticity comes in. Because as we've gone through life and we're learning these things, the mind loves patterns. And so it's now built up as something that we just take for granted when that's not the case. So by questioning where this thought comes from, and by understanding that just because we think of something all the time, it doesn't mean that it's true. It just means we've been thinking about it for a long time. And what you're doing here is starting to interrupt the pattern of that negative thinking. Here's another really good exercise to use. So let's say you have a thought that comes up a lot of the time that says, I'm not confident. In this exercise, I want you to ask yourself, what's the opposite of that? Well, the opposite of that would be taking a look at the times that you have been confident. And now I want to teach you something that you can use with this that really empowers the change that you'll feel by starting to look at a negative thought this way. I want you to think about a time when you last felt confident, because I know that you've had an example of that. So go back to that time and see where you were, what was all around you, what were you feeling at the time, what were you hearing? Think of everything that you can imagine that was going around. It might have been you were in a school play, you were standing on stage. You felt the spotlights on you. You could see your parents in the audience, they were clapping. People had smiles on their face. You felt so proud of what you were doing. Just make everything that you're feeling as strong as you possibly can remember it. And now I want you to find where in your body you're feeling that sense of confidence. And just imagine that you're making it stronger and stronger. And what we're going to do with that is something that's called anchoring. So I want you to imagine that you're making that feeling of confidence as strong as it possibly can go. And imagine that, our emotions do this. They go all the way up to the top and then they start going down. So what I want you to do is imagine your confidence is getting to this point, and just as you feel it's getting as strong as it possibly can, I'd like you to take your thumb and your forefinger and press them together and then release. Now try this several times. Each time getting that feeling of confidence, building it up so it's as strong as it's going to be. And when you're almost at the top, do the same fingers press together and release. It's really important that you do this anchoring exercise just as the emotion gets to the top, because what you don't want to do is to anchor it as it's coming down the other side. Now, the amazing thing about this is that your body will remember those feelings because you've anchored it. So the thing to do with this is to practice it several times, building that confidence, putting the same fingers together just before it reaches the top. And if you keep doing this, this is a tool that you could use any time that your mind might try to bring a negative thought in. Put those fingers together, and that confidence will soar. We happen to be using it in this exercise, but you can use anything for this. I like to call this a neurochemical wash, because what you're doing is causing the feel-good chemicals to rise in your brain, the serotonin, the oxytocin, the endorphins, and you'll just get a lightness of feeling, which is a wonderful way to get past things that might be in your way. And in time, as you practice this, you'll be able to just recall that feeling that you want, so long as it's the one that you've practiced, and it will come back to you. So to wrap it up, I promise that if you follow these exercises, you will start to notice a significant shift in your thinking and how you interact with the world. So let's go through these exercises again. The first one is the 3-step process, becoming aware of the top negative thoughts that you have. Remember, just take 3 or 5. And every time that you have that thought, reframe it. And then finally, every time that negative thought comes up, say the reframe. And then the next exercise that we did, which is also noticing a negative thought, ask yourself, what's the opposite of this? And now you think about that feeling, and we move into the next exercise, which is around anchoring. You really think about that feeling, you make it stronger and stronger in your body, and remember, you're just catching it when you go to the top. Put your thumb and your finger together just before it comes down the other side. Keep practicing that, and you will find that it becomes embodied in you. So together, these are the most powerful transformational techniques that you can use to start reframing that negative thinking so that you can escape from the blocks that might be having on you and to live that life that you want to live. Remember, your mindset can go both ways, but you have the power to choose. Adopting a life of growth mindset isn't a destination, it's a journey. Thank you for joining me on this session. If you're ready for a life of continuous growth, click like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.